let's get started. We will start with this presentation is really going to be very geared towards those people who have children who are birth to 3. That doesn't mean that it's not going to be helpful for anybody with a 4, 5, 6 or older child. But today we're going to talk about waiting. We're going to talk about some of those pre-skills that we don't always think about teaching children with Down syndrome before they start potty training. So the first thing we really need to do is really change our mindset. So as we go through this presentation today, if you can try really hard to let go of all those old things that you know about potty training and focus on kind of being able to rethink about how this might look for your child with Down syndrome. So some of the changes that you need to make in your mindset is that it can take years to fully potty train your child. If you start at 18 months or if you start with an older child. So if you start at 18 months, many children are potty trained by 3.5. If you start at 5, many children don't get potty trained until they're 7. Your child will wear a diaper almost the entire process. There are no accidents. Not every potty is going to go in the potty chair. That is not going to be the goal when you're first starting to learn to go potty. You can start by 18 months. You do not have to wait for other signs of readiness. Your child doesn't have to be able to walk. They don't have to be independent at pulling up or down their pants. They don't need to be able to independently wash their hands. When you're practicing all these things on a daily basis with your child, they will gain the independence to do all those things, and they'll be able to be independent by the time they go to kindergarten with all those skills that so many of us are waiting on before we even get started. One of the most important things that we can do for a child with Down syndrome, I truly believe this is one of the most important, one of the biggest gifts that I feel like we give our students at Little Leaf is to teach your child to wait. Angie read these and she was like, oh, Kim, that looks a little overwhelming. That's a little daunting. And I understand that when you read this slide, it's going to seem daunting, but it's really not. And it is so important for your child to learn to wait. And there's so many reasons way beyond potty training. It helps to encourage joint attention. It keeps them engaged in activities longer. And when they're engaged in an activity longer, they can learn more. It reduces the stress on the caregivers. It reduces elopement. So if your child learns to wait and you're standing there talking to a friend or whatever, you can say, just a minute, mommy is talking, you need to wait. And it is much less likely that your child's going to elope or run away. The same as in a classroom, we're going to music, but you have to wait. The child understands we're going to go to music. I don't have to just take off and go there. I'm just waiting and then I will get to go to music. So it's so important. It increases social engagement and it reduces behaviors in schools. When a child can wait for the next activity to begin, it just helps to keep your child engaged where they need to be and moving to the next activity with their peers. So waiting is just such an incredibly important skill. We spend a lot of time on it at Little Leaf. Our therapist, our occupational therapist and our speech therapist also use it in their therapy rooms. It's also a goal for them. It can be an IFSP goal or an IEP goal as well. So waiting is so important. So first of all, just learning to wait, just teaching them to wait. And what that means is, and not when they're 18 months, but by the time they're 5 years old, if you start young, they will be able to do this. When instructed to keep hands appropriate while setting, the child will respond by placing and holding them still for increasing intervals of time across activities and locations. So that is...
How long are you talking about, Kim? Like, are you saying they can hold them for 2 minutes? What are you usually working on at Little Leaf? I
was just going to get to that. So yeah, so we're starting out sometimes with 1 second. Sometimes we're starting out physically guiding the hands and showing them, oh, you're waiting. They may need to be desensitized to even hand over hand, so they may not like that. So that might be less than a second. And we just increase that amount of time depending on each child. Some kids can do it for 10 or 15 seconds the first time they sit down to learn to wait. And then some kids can't hardly even do it for a second. So you're going to see kind of where your child is. 5 seconds is usually a good place to start with a young one. Sometimes the older they are, the less they're willing to do it because they have ideas about what they're going to do next and they're ready to move on. So sometimes you have to do more physical redirection with an older child. But and everything's gentle. You just gently hold their hands and say, oh, you're waiting. So you're going to start out with 5 seconds. You're going to move up to about 2 minutes. By the time you get to 2 minutes, I have found that almost all the kids, once they get to 2 minutes, you can kind of just ask them to wait or have waiting hands, and they'll just have waiting hands until you tell them, okay, it's time to, you can play with Play-Doh now, or whatever it is that they were needing to have waiting hands for. If they're getting their hair cut, they don't like it or whatever, and they're batting around and you tell them waiting hands. Once they get to 2 minutes, really they can just kind of wait until the haircut's over. So that's a very important skill for so many reasons. It also helps when they're walking past like a table. If you've got a kiddo that's a swiper, swipes everything off the table. If you just say, oh, waiting hands, and you're actually walking past the table, they'll put their hands down next to them or in front of them, and they won't swipe everything off the table. They understand that that's a situation where they don't need to, where they're not really allowed to touch those items. And we are all doing this, but most of the time we're not teaching it in a direct instruction way. We're saying, oh, have nice hands, don't pull mommy's hair, nice hands, don't take my glasses, nice hands. So we're going to change that nice hands to waiting hands. And we're going to teach them in a direct instruction way where we're sitting down in front of them and telling them to wait. We have lesson plans for each one of these kinds of waiting that I will email to everybody when we're done. And that will help clarify this a little bit more. These are just the end goals. This is where we want to get to by the time your child's 5. So then waiting for a preferred item. When instructed to wait for a preferred item, the child will respond by patiently pausing and delaying interaction for increased intervals of time until signaled to engage. Again, that's just kind of like start out at 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and work your way up to about 2 minutes. Again, once they can get to 2 minutes, they're pretty good. You really don't have to work past that because they can just kind of wait at that point. This is really important for those children who are just kind of grabbers. You're trying to get out, maybe some, food that they like or whatever, and they're so ready to get it, they're just grabbing it and knocking it out of your hands or whatever. That's going to be a really important time to teach your child to wait. Or if they love Play-Doh so much or whatever that you can't get it set up or whatever might be the case, those are the situations in which you want them to wait for that preferred item. Waiting for an activity to begin. When presented with an activity and instructed to wait, the child will respond by patiently pausing and delaying interaction for increased intervals of time until signaled to engage. So that's the same thing. And again, we are doing this at home. We're telling our children to wait their turn to go down the slipper slide, or they need to wait to get in the car, or whatever it is. But now we're going to teach it in a direct instruction way, and we're going to use the language, you're waiting, so that they understand what waiting is. They very quickly become accustomed to waiting. They know that once they've done this several times, they start to understand that I can wait and be patient, and I still will get what I want. I don't have to be so persistent because I think that they're not going to allow me to have or do what I want to do. I'm just waiting, and then I get what I want to have or do. So it's just a very direct instruction in what we're already doing with our kids. So it's a very important skill, and it really allows them to better understand their expectations. Now, with all that being said, those are very direct ways of teaching waiting, but one great way to teach waiting is just to talk about it at home. And you can say, I have waiting hands. I'm waiting for my drink. I'm waiting for my treat, whatever it is. We're waiting at the stop sign. Oh, she's waiting to go down the slide. She's waiting. So just point out those times in your day where you are naturally waiting. That's a really great way to teach it as well. We have several videos on YouTube about waiting. So you guys can watch all of these at any given time. I will send the links with those as well. This video here, I'm going to play.
What if, with just a few key words, you could get your child to sit with nice waiting hands like Everett? What are those key words? Waiting hands. Today I'll show you how to teach your child waiting hands. Start playing waiting hand games by 18 months. During these waiting hand games, if your child is not doing the correct action, physically guide them to the correct action, then praise them.
Signing waiting, Lucy. Waiting hands. Okay, ready? Shake your hands. Shake. Good. Shaking your hands. Waiting hands. So with those videos, you'll see that it can be fun and exciting and stuff too. It's not quite so overwhelming as what the instructions make it seem to be. So teaching waiting is, like I said before, just such an important skill for potty training as well as everything else. So you're going to be working on teaching your child to wait. This is a long process. You start at 18 months and, by 5, they're doing really well at waiting. So it's not like you're going to teach waiting first and then do the next step. You're going to kind of be doing all of these things kind of all at once. Observe your child for tells. A tell is a sign that lets you know whether your child needs to go potty or poo or has already done so. So it can be a surprised face or a concentrating face, grunting, bearing down, hiding, squatting, stillness, fussiness, wanting to be put down, grabbing themselves on their diaper, getting a dry diaper. An older child may lay face down on the floor. I don't know why kids do that, and it's not a tell that I think most people would be familiar with, but we've had several of our older students do that. So if they're, 3, 4, 5, and they lay face down they're playing, and then all of a sudden they lay face down on the floor for a second, they might need to go potty. Use your nose. If you can smell a toot, take them to the bathroom. Use your ears. Some tells come with sounds, grunting, fussiness, gas. Your child may go to a certain place in the house. Listen for those sounds. We kind of have to engage all of our senses to really help make sure that we're getting them to the bathroom at the right times. Okay, the potty log. This is our potty log, and we have a really simple, it's just the date, the time, and then you're able just to circle when you went to check them, were they wet, dry, potty, or poop. Then if you set them on the potty chair after you took them in, did they go or not go? And then you can write a note like they had 5 ounces of juice or whatever. They went a little bit, they went a lot. This really helps just kind of give you an idea of what's going on with your child's body. We continue to always keep the potty log until they are independent in the bathroom. So our 5-year-olds, we've got 2 5-year-olds who are going into kindergarten next year. They both just go to the bathroom whenever they need to. So we don't write anything down for them. They go, they tell us they need to go potty, and then they walk into the bathroom and they're completely independent in the restroom. So we don't go in there and write anything down for those two. But until that point, we are consistently keeping the potty log. If you can just get in the habit of it and just do it while you're at home, I wouldn't expect anybody to carry their potty log around with them to activities or therapies. But when you're at home, it's just a really nice thing to just kind of look at, and you can kind of start to see some patterns of, man, they were going every day at 10 o'clock, and now that's kind of, now we're either wet when we go in there and we weren't, so now I know I need to take them a little bit earlier, or they've sat for quite a while at 10 o'clock and they still haven't gone, so now I probably need to push that back 10 or 20 minutes before I take them, and need to be taking them at 10:10 or 10:20. So the potty log really can help just visually look at that and know kind of what's going on with your kiddo. Check your child's diaper every 20 to 30 minutes for about 2 weeks. Again, when you're at home, if your child goes to daycare, if they will kind of keep track of it for you, that's amazing. If they can't, it's okay. Just do your best to track when you're at home in the mornings and the evenings and on the weekends with them. You'll get enough data just doing that. Keep track of the foods that and the drinks that your child takes in for a couple of weeks. That way you kind of realize, well, when they have juice, they, need to go potty about 10 or 20 minutes after that, or this kind of food that they eat kind of tends to get their digestive tract going, and we might need to go sit on the potty chair to go poop. For older children, use underwear just to observe for possible leaks in between bigger potties. So you're not moving to underwear. This is just to see if you're having those tiny leaks in between. And it's important for you to know that with your older kid. We can assume that our younger kids probably are doing that, and we will get to the point where we are increasing their output and their stream strength as well. Test your child's willingness to sit on the potty chair. When you start young, most every child will just go in there and sit down, but not every child will. We had 3 little 2-year-olds who started last August with us, so this August will be a year that they've been at Little League. And 2 of them go potty on the potty chair. They're dry almost every day, all day. Poop on the potty chair. They're doing amazing. But the one little guy, we're still working on desensitizing him to the potty chair. So he's gone on the potty a handful of times, and now he's starting to walk into the bathroom to sit down with friends to go potty. But it has been a whole year of just kind of introducing the potty, giving him just a few seconds to sit on the potty to a few minutes. He's at about 15 minutes when he sits on the potty now. And we'll just continue to build up his ability to sit on the potty, and that's fine. He's doing great. He's doing just what he needs to be doing. And we'll just continue to do that. But that doesn't mean that he won't be potty trained by 5, or that he won't be potty trained before the 2 that have been so willing to do it. You just don't really know how it will all play out. But I really, truly believe that every one of our kids need the opportunity to show us that they can do it, because when they are capable, it's so nice for them to be able to be potty trained before kindergarten.
I just want to say how impressed I am by that last picture. Every time I see it, I'm completely impressed. And you can tell that you have taught these kids how to wait, because you have 4 separate children sitting independently with an iPad and waiting.
Yeah, and sometimes we have 6 kids in there all at once. And they are you really can teach your child to wait. I mean, each one of those kids have a very different personality. They are at different developmental stages. One of those little girls can barely walk. I mean, she's just now getting to walk independently. So it really just, any child can learn to wait when they're taught and with direct instruction. I really believe that. So anyway, I think it's a great important skill, and thanks for pointing that out, Angie. So then we are going to start taking things to the bathroom. I think that it's important to start doing everything, all toileting needs in the bathroom as much as you can. I change poopy diapers in the bathroom. I pull down their pants, take off their diaper, and I wipe them standing up. It does take a little bit of practice to get good at that. The reason I do that is because we have so many older kids who don't want to go into the bathroom at all. And so I think when they just start to understand that going into the bathroom is just part of the potty training process and just part of their day, they just are so much more successful. So help your child associate the bathroom with all toileting needs, diaper changes. Your child stands or sits for their diaper change. And when they do that, it helps really build their balance. And it really does get them ready for that independent skill of pulling their pants up and down. And I've got a little video here of the little girl I was just telling you about that's just now learning to walk. Good standing, Lenny. Addie, you got so much balance. Good job. Good standing. So you can see there, she was kind of leaning on me for a little bit of support, but we were, doing it together, and I was getting ready to pull down her diaper to set her on the potty chair. Now, when I pulled her diaper down, if she was wet, I would have taken her diaper off and then put the dry diaper back on like a pair of underwear around her legs. And then I would have stood her up, pulled the underwear up or the diaper up, and then the pants up. So that's how we change our students at Little Leaf. And I think it really does help them build those skills for becoming independent in the bathroom. Okay, potty chair setup. I really think that this is important. I think that so many of the struggles our children have with potty training is really due to their hypotonia. We really like these little potty chairs with the high back, and they kind of wrap around the sides. They kind of hug the kid. You can see in the picture with the little girl on the potty chair on the ground, they come around the side fairly well, and then we slide a chair or a small table over top their legs with a tablet or a little travel TV, or some of our kids have other items, but most of our kids use tablets. And then when they're a bit bigger, you can see there's this TV tray in front of her. She's got a step stool for her feet. That TV tray came from Target. They're amazing, but the kids can kind of lean forward on either of those tables, so they kind of get themselves in the more economical position for pottying or pooing. And it also helps keep those little boys' pee-pees pointed in the right direction. So I really like having a table for our students. I don't really actually think that we could teach them to sit there and wait, and I don't think we would be able to be as successful with their waiting hands if we didn't have a place for their hands to go that wasn't in their lap when they're potty training, because of course when they're potty training, their hands in their lap is not the perfect place. Okay, little boys and little pee-pees. We have a lot of questions about this. As you can see here, Ford is leaning forward a little bit. I pull their pants way down. Sometimes I even fold them down underneath their shoes so that the pants are very far down. They really have to come down very far to get their legs spread a little bit. You have to put their backs all the way towards the back, kind of tilt them up a little bit and lean them forward. That really helps. Of course, we have had a lot of little boys with very tiny penises. So the splash guards are hard, but if you get them positioned correctly on the potty chair, you will stop having the spray everywhere. I promise. I have had a little boy with a penis as small as any other little boys is that parents are like, I can't get him to not pee outside the toilet. You can do it if you just keep working at the positioning. If you can't figure out the positioning, you can put a diaper in front of them. I don't like that as much though, because I really like to be able to see how much potty gets into the potty chair. So this kind of shows our continuum. In the guidebook, we kind of wrote it as steps, and they're really not really steps. They're really more key areas to focus on. You're going to be kind of doing a lot of them all at once. Some of them you want to wait for one step to be completed before you go on to the next, but not all of them. So for today's presentation, I put this together so that you kind of understand that you're going to be kind of doing this all at once. Continue to teach and practice waiting. Increase the amounts of time your child will sit on the potty chair. Your goal is going to be 20 to 30 minutes. Once your child gets good at going potty, that time's going to quickly decrease. You're not going to need them to sit on the potty chair for 20 to 30 minutes for years by any means. It's going to be maybe months, and then they're going to get quicker at pottying, and you're going to be able to pull them off quicker. The tells. Continue to watch for tells. Take them to the bathroom when you see any telltale signs, and give your child the language. You need to go potty, you need to go poop, and use the sign too. So when I say continue to watch your child for tells, those parents of older kids, you know that when your child was little, you knew their tells when they were a baby. Like, it was just very clear to see when they needed to go. As they get older, those tells can change a little bit, and they can get much more sneaky about showing the tell. So you need to continue to watch your child and see if the tells are changing or if they are getting more subtle, like they still kind of have that grimace on their face, but it's not near as apparent, those kinds of things. So you're going to have to continue to watch your child for tells the whole time. And then the potty log, continue to use the potty log and check diapers often. This is extremely important. Point out when they are wet or dry. The whole process. Be pointing out, oh, you're wet. Oh, you're dry. Good job being dry. Do this the whole time that your child's potty training. This is so important for that last step of knowing that they need to be dry and moving on to underwear and being able to eventually tell us when they need to go. Bathroom. Use the bathroom for all toileting needs. If you wait until your child's 4 or 5 to start using the bathroom for toileting needs, behaviors can develop. They're just like, I have never had to stop and go to the bathroom before. Why do I now? Like, that's frustrating for them. So if you start when they're little and you're doing that, it really does decrease frustration when they get older. You cannot potty train your child without their buy-in. So you have to stay positive. Keep it positive. If your child feels pressure or frustration from you, it can cause them to shut down. And we can start to have issues with holding it, not going, those kinds of things, because they're very good at reading your feelings. And so if you're like feeling a little stressed out because you really want them to get potty trained, that might be too much pressure for them. So you really have to be very aware of your own feelings about the potty training process. And the other thing that when we're talking about frustration too is make sure that you are not taking your child too frequently. When you take your child all the time because you really want to get every potty in the potty chair, what happens is they start to get frustrated because they're going to the bathroom all the time and their day is getting interrupted all the time. And the second thing is that we are not helping them build their bladder strength or their pelvic floor strength, and we are not helping them build that mind-body connection. So when their body gives them a biofeedback loop, and when we are just taking them so frequently that they don't ever really have to feel that pressure and really make the decision about what to do about it, they don't really develop that skill to tell us that they need to go. So we really need to make sure that we are not taking them too frequently. That was one thing that after we started this group that I'm seeing a lot of parents reporting that they're taking them every 20 minutes, every 45 minutes, every hour. You really want to build those in-between times up to 2 hours. So it's okay for them to go potty in their diaper in between. And we just are really going to focus on trying to get them to potty in the potty chair a few times a day and really empty their bladder when they are on the potty chair. Why I use tablets. I would say that this is one thing that is kind of not a lot of people's favorite part about our program. And there's a few reasons why I do it. I have tried a lot of other things. Like, this was not my first wish to have all the kids have a tablet, but I quickly learned by watching the kids that when they have a tablet, they're allowed to relax and go. When you're reading books or they're doing other things, they tend to try to maybe get up more often, or you're right there with them and there's a lot of pressure because you're sitting right next to them. So I just realized that the tablet was easier for them just to kind of sit back and just relax and go. So in my experience, children need a longer sit time on the potty chair to initiate the urine stream or go poop. They stop and go, so they need more sit time to empty their bladder. A tablet or TV with Leapfrog or preschool prep videos will help with this need. So they'll be able to stay long enough and relax. The other thing is they're spending a lot of time on the potty chair. So the learning opportunities that a video offers is amazing for our kids. Video modeling is a powerful way for children with DS to learn. Hearing a sound over and over is important for speech development. It really helps to put the sound in their phonological loop. I don't feel like we can produce sounds in isolation as many times as our kids need to hear them. Watching these videos is a fun way and an engaging way for them to be able to hear the sounds several times a day. And it's in a way that is no pressure. There's no adult sitting next to them, like hoping for them to produce that sound too. And the other thing that's fun about it, it leads to these things for our 3 and 4 year olds. Ah, ah, the ox. Good job, Ella. Good job. Yay, look at that. Ox. Fox. Fox. Good, building a word. Yay, Ella. Give Bessie a high five. Yay, way to go. And this too. Now this is a little girl and she's still in her 3-year-old year. Good saying he, good reading he. Can you find he and match it? Good job. Good matching up. Good saying of. The. Yeah, that's the. Can you match the? Good job, Lucy. It. Good reading. Do you want to do the next page?
Yeah.
So those are pretty exciting things to see little 3-year-olds being able to do. And I really believe that those learning videos are greatly contribute to their ability to be able to do those things. The other thing I like about the tablets is they truly foster independence. After a child has learned waiting hands, I don't have to be close to them. I don't have to be right on top of them. I can walk away and check in on them every so often. I believe that children do better without the pressure of an adult sitting right next to them for the potty chair. And then when they get a little bit bigger, we truly don't have an issue taking the iPad away from any of the kids. We do go through stages where they do want to go to the bathroom to get the iPad, and they are communicating to me that they want to go to the bathroom. So then in that case, I just set a timer, and if they haven't gone within the first 3 minutes, then I say, oh, good job, good trying, we're gonna be all done. And we do that for, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and we move through that, and then they quit asking to go to the bathroom just to get the tablet. It really doesn't really become a problem, but we do allow them to do that even when we know it's for the tablet, because we really, at that point, really want to encourage the communication of needing to go.